A previously off-the-record conversation with the late president is coming to light, giving us a glimpse into Carter's thoughts about UAPs. I spoke with the man on the other end of that call, NPR senior host Scott Simon. Take a listen. Take us back here. What did you ask President Carter about UFOs, and what did he say?
Well, I put in a call to speak with him off the record because we were doing a story on a support group at a New York hospital for people who believed that they had seen UFOs. And the hospital didn't necessarily think they'd seen a UFO, but they had discovered that they didn't make any progress in treating some of the symptoms of trauma and distress unless they put them together with a group of people that had a similar experience. I put a call in, eventually was rewarded with a call from former President Carter. I said, look, you had access to national security information when you were in the White House. Could these people be right? And he chuckled in a very genial way, and he said, no, but remember, a UFO is just something we haven't identified. And he said there are dozens of unexplained incursions over airspace every year. They're usually some kind of an experiment. I will add, this is before drones were so ubiquitous. And I remember he said you'd actually be surprised how many times the Air Force doesn't know what the Navy's up to and so forth. And then, since we were talking, I said, so you have no reason to think there's life out there? And he said, I don't want to go that far, but if there is, it's got nothing to do with UFOs. And then he said, if there's some other civilization out there, I doubt they'd send these big, bulky airships. They'd probably just keep watch on us and leave us alone. And I wind up telling what I thought was a very warm story about Jimmy Carter. I said, look, if there were other civilizations out there, would the government have to keep it a secret so there wouldn't be a public panic? And Jimmy Carter, if I may say, God bless him and God rest his soul, said, the way I see it, there is nothing to fear. If there is life out there, we are all part of the same master plan, and God's hands are big enough to hold us both. And I found myself just deeply moved by it, recognizing both the candor he had to report you've seen a UFO in 1973 without fear of being ridiculed, and the thought that he'd given it.
Yeah, and you kept that journalistic integrity and that promise off the record for all these decades, and you're sharing it with us now. What about it all these years later still resonates so deeply with you?
His decency, his openness. And his openness not only in talking about a subject I think a lot of politicians would understandably avoid, but his openness as a human being to thinking that maybe there is life in another dimension or other planets. Not that he thought, as he said, that UFOs had anything to do with it, but also his feeling that we were all in the hands of the same God, and therefore we were all part of the same world, and we were all part of, in a sense, sharing our lives together at the same time. I was just struck by his expansiveness of spirit, and I don't mind telling you, I was deeply moved.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.